Romans 12 verse 1 says, I beseech you therefore now, brethren, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. The story that quickly comes to mind whenever I read the scripture is the story of Abraham and Isaac. I'm sure that it's no news to us that God promised Abraham that he was going to be the father of many nations, and that through him, through the blessings of God upon his life, he is going to be a blessing even to many generations, which I believe is one of what we are enjoying today as Christians. However, before that promise came to pass, Abraham was childless. God promised to give him a son, through which all those blessings was going to come to pass, and God did. But all of a sudden, God said, Abraham, take that your son that you love, because it was looking like maybe God was competing with the love Abraham had for his son. And he said, go sacrifice him. And Abraham did not hesitate. He did not tell his wife, because I know you know what would have happened for a woman who waited all her years to have a son. But my story is not actually concerning Abraham. My insight today is actually about Isaac himself. Have you ever thought that for a young lad, Isaac was maybe in his 15th year or so, 15th year, I can't remember vividly right now, but he was already a teenager, so he already knows his right from his left. He knows the wrong and the right. And while they were going, he kept asking his father, where is the lamb for the sacrifice? And Abraham kept telling him God will provide, until he got to the point where the father took him, tied him up like a ram, and laid him on the altar, and took the knife and was about to actually cut his neck, sacrifice him. But you know, the Bible never recorded that Isaac struggled or hesitated to yield his body. It was never recorded that Isaac said, no, why would you? I can imagine if it were to be maybe a young person nowadays, what would have happened? I'm sure, especially in these Gen Z generations, there would have been, the man would have been arrested and home. Where am I going? Living sacrifice. A living sacrifice is a sacrifice that knows that I am a sacrifice. I am not dead, but still remains on the altar. A living sacrifice is that person that totally gives himself up for the use of God, that has surrendered his entirety, his totality unto God. That person that is not going to struggle with God's instruction, and is not going to struggle with God's decision, and is not going to struggle with obeying everything that God has asked him to do. That is a living sacrifice. That one person that will lay himself totally at the altar for God, that will lay himself totally at the feet of the cross and say, here I am, do with me whatever you want. So my question for you today is, I'm sure you have been reading the scripture if you're a Christian. Are you a living sacrifice? What is your obedience level like unto God? What is your worship like unto God? I think most of us have misplaced the true definition of what worship is. Worship is a total allegiance to a superior power, a superior deity, in this case, which is God of hosts himself, the maker of the heaven and the earth. So, are you a living sacrifice? Do you worship God? Worship is not about singing. Worship is about your lifestyle, your character, your attitude, your everyday living. Have you not compromised? Worship, total allegiance, total surrender, total obedience. So I want to beseech you this morning, just as the scripture has said, that you check your life, you check who you are, and begin to ask God to renew you, to clean you up, and make you whole. And you can see the life of Isaac. After that total surrender, you can see the blessing of God upon his life. Even when the father was no longer there, you can see how God blessed him and made him a great nation, and made him so large, and made him an envy even of everyone around him. This same thing is what God is promising you. But all He is asking for is that you make yourself a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, because this is your reasonable service. If this has blessed you today, do not hesitate to like and share this video. Also, subscribe so that you can get notified when new video drops. I beseech you, surrender yourself and give yourself wholly to God. God bless you.